Professional spies have powers that most agencies don't. It comes with the job description. But even they have rules they're supposed to follow, which makes sense given the sensitivity of the information they work with. Now, MI5 is in serious trouble with the regulator for potentially breaking data protection laws. It's accused of storing people's data instead of destroying it like it's supposed to, and then failing to tell the Investigatory Powers Commissioner's office about that breach.
We judge that by January 2018, indeed most probably considerably earlier, MI5 had a clear understanding of the principal compliance risks associated with these technology environments, to the extent that they should have carefully considered the legality of continuing to store and exploit operational data in those systems. The risks were also sufficiently clear that they should have been communicated to the Investigatory Powers Commissioner, who was not briefed by MI5 on the issue until February 2019.
The Investigatory Powers Act requires any data to be stored and held securely and then erased when it's no longer needed. The watchdog described it as a matter of serious concern that the agency hadn't alerted it to the problem for over a year. The data at risk includes communications and computer hacking for investigations such as counter-terrorism, but also bulk data on ordinary individuals, like locations, calls, messages, and web browsing.
Privacy is a human right. Now, MI5 has been granted special powers to be able to infringe upon those human rights, but the special measures that have been put in place that says after X amount of time, or when you no longer need that personal data, that reveals so much about individuals, you should delete that data. Now, what MI5 have failed to do is delete that data in a timely fashion, which means that they're violating the individual rights further than the powers allow them to.
It's not the first time the agency has been in trouble. An earlier ruling found that the spooks had a historical lack of compliance in the way they retained and deleted data, and were found to have held and handled it in an undoubted, unlawful manner. When dealing with bulk data, it's already risky enough without government agencies ignoring the few safeguards that are in place.
What can actually be done against MI5, and is there any motivation for them to care? So there's no carrot and there's no stick. They're just going to be embarrassing this report, and they'll carry on doing what they do, and whether they pay attention to it or not is ultimately up to them. But as we can see, the problem here is that because there's no sanctions in place, because there's no fines, or there is nothing that any government organisation can do to take action against them, there isn't really much of an incentive for them to want to do anything about it.
RT UK tried to contact MI5 for a response to the claims, but they don't have a press office. The Home Office also didn't respond to a request for comment on the story either. So it seems the media can't hold spies to account, the watchdog can watch over them, but getting an agency that specialises in covert operations to change its ways and obey the law, that may prove to be mission impossible.